Hey everyone, this is Jonathan Crow. I'm Director of Content at Ninja RMM, and I'm very excited to talk about a project that we've been working on. We've been looking a lot at MSP websites, and we have a list of what we consider to be the top 10 websites of 2019. And to talk about those websites, who better than someone who is her business to dig into MSPs, dig into their branding, make sure they get their messaging right, make sure they're putting their best foot forward. And that's Claire Jenks. Claire, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So we're going to dive into what we consider this list. We're going to start with number 10. We're going to work our way down all the way to number 1. And we're going to tear these down a little bit. We're going to be constructive about it, though. We're not only showing these 10 websites to congratulate them for having good websites, we're showing them to give other MSPs pointers. Here's what they're doing well. Here's some things that they can maybe work on. Here's the big takeaways from each. And our first website we're going to be looking at is TechMD. All right, so look at these guys. So right off the bat, pretty fancy, right? Like especially compared, this is not just a basic template. You see this more and more often though. Just having this video hero image playing in the background. I think this actually adds quite a bit to the website and the immediate, my first reaction anyway. I think these guys are professional. I love that it's actually them and their office, so I can see as a prospect, okay, this is a real company, it's a real office, it's a nice looking office. And look at all these nice looking, kind looking people too. It kind of adds an air of legitimacy to it. Do you see this type of technique used a lot?
I love this technique and this idea. Putting video on, especially on your homepage, is like an immediate engagement because you want to see and you kind of want to watch what's going to come next. It's not just you land and you start scrolling.
Absolutely.
Especially when they're using, so in this example, their own offices and their own people, immediately drawn into who they are and what they're doing. So yeah, I love it. And
yeah, this is
all the time. I want to see more and more though.
Yeah, I mean, and this is something that's going to come up as we look at some other websites too. A big thing that comes up with any kind of website design is your use of imagery, right? And it's very easy to go the stock photo route or the stock footage route. In this case, with a video, I love that these guys have gone a step further and they're using video of their own offices because it stands out. It's not going to be the same footage that another MSP is using because you hate to see that, right? And it's also just it gives it less of kind of a cheap feel. They've got some great social proof here. So by social proof, of course, we mean they're showing off their awards, showing off that they've been named best place to work, their fastest growing business. This adds again to that air of legitimacy. These guys are a real company and know what they're doing. And then look at this, more video. Yes. They're all about the video. Yeah, I think this is a little bit from their one of their executives here. Yeah, and so they've using this, and if we scroll down, we've got, of course, they're talking about their services. We've got a little interactivity here again. More videos too. And what I noticed, Claire, is this seems so a lot of video, right? And video seems hard. I can certainly imagine, we just mentioned at the top of the video that MSPs are busy. If you're building your website, I'm sure the thought of adding all this video, and look at this, I mean, 1 Minute Wednesdays, they're adding new video kind of constantly. That seems like a lot of work, right?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, there are quicker ways to produce video and things. I think people get very scared by video especially because you're putting yourself out there a lot of the time.
Right.
I like the way they've obviously doing it every Wednesday, so it helps for their content marketing side of things. They're on it. But I love the fact that it looks like they've got different team members taking part.
Mm-hmm.
So you're adding that, again, that team into that video, so it's not that whole reliance of creating video isn't just on the CEO or the owner or the content manager. It's spread across the team, so that makes it easier as well.
Definitely, and it also adds to that thing that this is a large company, right? They're a large team. They've got nice smiling faces, which is welcoming. It makes you want to add some personality to it too. Now, I have a theory, and I would love to talk to these guys and find out if this is the case. I think that maybe a tip for people is if they are kind of nervous about this video commitment, um, you don't need necessarily to produce these, like have a videographer come in 12 different times, or build your own video studio in your office and be constantly producing videos that way. I think you can actually get a lot of bang for your buck by renting a videographer for one day. Shell out the money to make sure it's high end, but then make sure it's just a 1 day commitment, get all of your staff involved, and bang it out kind of all at once. Because that's what I think. Obviously, they've got this footage that they acquired probably over 1 day, maybe 2 days, and they're leveraging it throughout the site too. It's not just in this place.
Yeah,
I wonder about this too, having these interviews with the executive, with other staffs. Um, it could be that they do have an in-house videographer, or it could be that they just hired one to come in for 1 day, and they had staff come in and they just made 20 of them that they can slowly roll it out over time.
that's it. Yeah, if you think 1 minute Wednesdays, if to do it every week, if you got someone in for the day, you could get plenty of them all at once. So yeah, either way works. If you've got someone in house, even better. But
Yeah,
yeah, that other option to get someone in for the day and just have that 1 day of focused content.
yeah, absolutely. And so one thing, before we move on from Tech and D here, a couple other things that I like that they're doing. Um, Branding is it's a pretty simple approach here, but their colors, what I like they're doing here is they're consistent with it. This goes throughout the whole site. It's got a similar look and feel. Again, we're seeing I got a little double photo here. I don't love that. But we're seeing again, like, this is photos of their offices. They're real people instead of just a stock photo, which is pretty nice.
Yeah,
Um, but one thing I always kind of end up focusing on is copy, right?
yeah,
And one thing I do have a little ding for them. I think they could maybe. I would love to see them do a little bit more with this section here where they're talking about their services. I think there's a tendency to want to list a lot of copy, and of course, there's SEO concerns too. You want to list a lot of keywords and things.
yeah.
I would love to see them talk a little bit more about not just what it is, but the value, and do it in shorter, more concise ways. Because as a visitor, I look at this and it seems kind of like a chore to read.
That's it. There's a lot on one screen to read. And like you say,
Hmm.
it's important to get all those bits in, but there's other ways you can do it by not overwhelming people that are coming to the site as well. Because I find with some websites, they're talking very technical as well. Well, actually, some depends on your end user and your customers and your clients and things, but they don't need to read all that technical text. It could be summed up in a much um, shorter copy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think we're going to see in some of our other examples too, some cases where people are doing some cool stuff where they're talking about challenges instead. They're using some of their own clients' terms, putting their pain points in their own words, and also just having a very clear right away when you land on the site who this is for. Which TechMD, it seems like that's not quite clear to me right out of the gate. So let's go into our next site. What do we got here? Let's see. Hilltop Consultants. All right.
people.
Yeah. So people, again, of course, this is well, another option. So if video, if that's not in your budget right now, or that's just not going to happen, maybe you don't need it. You can take the Hilltops approach here, where get a good photo. It's important to be high quality, though, right? I see a lot of this where it's easy for people to want to take this approach, and if you don't have a high quality shot there, it can give kind of not a great first impression.
That's it. It takes away from the impact that you're trying to kind of portray.
Hmm.
Yeah, high
But they
quality.
do, yeah, high quality. Absolutely, it's absolutely worth it. I do like that uh, they've invested in branding. Clearly, they've got their logo that's very iconic, that orange H. and as we see orange everywhere, it's very cohesive, which is nice. And that's something that I mean, you can easily see that logo put on uh, t-shirts, coffee mugs, all sorts of
Oh,
stuff.
everything. Yeah, simple. Sometimes simplicity is the best um, thing, especially in this industry as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Here we go. Here's a little bit more interactivity, which is nice. Again, there's that big H in their office. I mean, I do love it that they've gone all in it with their orange couch and everything too. It's very distinctive.
Yes,
And I think that's what it's kind of all about, right? You got to make a immediate impression and show that you're different. And then you can explain why you're different once you've got people there.
definitely. Yeah, even just the simple colours can gives the people who are looking at your website a whole fresh look. If you've got that bright orange in there, and against this blue as well, it's
Yeah.
nice, nice colour
Yeah.
palette.
Absolutely. It'd be kind of nice going back to our comments with having people, right? This is not always easy to do with clients, being able to get, especially if you're going for something high quality, um, and clients may not always be interested in giving you photos. They may not always feel comfortable with that. But if they had a little bit of photos here to show these are real people, I think that would make this page a little bit more engaging.
But it adds that extra level and that credibility because you can see the person. And what you don't want to do is use a stock photo of a person pretending it is the person. I've seen that done before.
Yes. Yeah, and then you end up seeing that person in another site. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Say, hold on, something doesn't add up here. But I would
Yeah.
say as well, a lot of people assume that their clients aren't happy to use their picture. If you ask them, you might be surprised by the results.
Absolutely.
Just assume that. So always ask first, because most of the time clients are happy to help out. If they're going to give you a testimonial, then probably more than likely to give you a picture too.
Yeah, definitely. You don't you miss all the shots you don't take. You gotta
Yes,
you gotta go for it. I do like here. So they have gone into making it clear that there are 4 specific industries, and we're going to see some really cool examples of people going kind of another step forward with that. In this case, I do like that they're calling that out. Of course, not every MSP is going to have a vertical focus, but if you do, then absolutely you should be calling that out. Now, on their page here, it's cool that they've updated their social proof here, so it's not just generic; it's specifically legal time. So they're saying, "Hey, lawyers, this is why we're for you."
yeah,
I do think that they could do a little bit of a better job with this. This isn't that compelling to me. This list here, they could even do something where they have a box, and we'll see another example. I keep on mentioning, giving little sneak peeks or whatever. But
teasing.
yeah, but I mean, you see this in a lot of vendor sites too, where why not take an opportunity with this page to say, here's what you're getting with a standard MSP, and now here's the all the things that you're getting from us that are specific to legal, and you got all the checks there. Just showing it, putting it right in people's faces. This is the difference.
That's it, and show that you're an expert in that vertical, and this is why speaking their language. It just makes that slight differentiation from just any old list. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's they have all the material here. It's just a matter of packaging it, right? Um, yeah. Okay, so I think we should go on to the next MSP in our list. Let's keep it going here. Oh yes, Valiant. These guys are very distinctive. Um, Boom! Look at that! Look at that floating pyramid. I'm getting, but I mean, everything from there, from heavily branded, right, and heavily designed, and I think that they're certainly distinctive. Um, I'm curious, like, what are some of the qualities that you think that they're coming to you when you look at the site?
oh well, straight away from myself, from a branding point of view, I spot the logo, which is so different to
Mm.
a lot of other areas. So that instantly is they're adding that first impression. I'm intrigued by the scroll across the top,
Yes,
which
yes.
suddenly it's automatic, or it's like they're teasing you to the next thing. And I'm sometimes a fan of scrolling, sometimes not. It depends on what you're offering on the next scroll. But the fact that they're showing you a little snippet of the next one makes you want to look. You're not going to miss what's behind the next one. So I like that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Having this little preview here, I think is pretty key, especially if you're not going to have it be automatically
That's it.
scrolling. Yeah, totally. Um, yeah, I mean, having they're using these big value prop words: stability, security, scalability. Obviously, those are good, and those are things that prospects are going to be caring about. I wonder if there's a different approach though. It's a little bit generic. And I know each one of them has kind of this learn more section. Let's actually dive into one of these and see where we go. Yes, their philosophy. So I do like that this is showing that it's adding a lot of gravitas to them. Like they've obviously put a ton of thought into their approach. Even saying they have a philosophy, I mean, there's an air of
Yeah,
expertise to them, right?
that's it. Yes, definitely. Don't often see that word.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, if they're going for bigger clients who are looking to have someone who's reputable, who really is coming across as an expert, I think they've taken a really good approach here. I do think that as we'll see again, a little teaser, as we'll see with some other examples, this is based all around them, and and that's fine. I mean, that's one approach they're taking is they really want to make their site uh, basically a vehicle for them to show off their expertise. And obviously, I mean, they're successful. They're one of the top 100 MSPs that's working for them. The other thing that I like is they have this carries over into their blog too. Um, they're posting a lot. Uh, they're having again kind of showing their thought leadership and their expertise. And so I think overall you're really just kind of getting this feeling of like, okay, these guys know what they're talking about. That said, they're not making the client so much kind of the focus here. It's really more their site's definitely more about them.
Yes, I was going to say they're showing off their expertise and talking about them, and it might be nice to have the other side of it and what about, like you say, put their customer in the focus a bit more.
Yeah, I'm just going to go into. They do have this. Never like to see that. That's not great. Um, but they do have kind of their industry focus too. Um, yeah, covering a lot of different things here.
A lot of different. There's quite
And
a
and
lot
the brand,
on each
yeah,
page.
yeah, that's the thing. It's a tricky balance, especially when you're wanting to. I mean, there's SEO concerns. There's also you. Clearly, they do want to show off. We know a ton, and so we have a ton of knowledge to share.
Yeah,
Um, but the drawback can be potentially it can be overwhelming.
that's it. I think it
Or
depends on
not. Yeah,
targeting as well. Um,
I think you're
some of
absolutely
these
right.
areas, legal, probably used to reading pages of text, so that works well for them. If you're going to target and then had fashion on there, they might not be so much. So as well, I think you kind of consider your audience as well, of how much you're going to put on each
I think
page.
that's yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And speaking of that, let's go look at number 7. So here we're segueing into a couple of MSPs who are hyper specialized. And I love it. So if obviously okay, this isn't for everybody. There's a ton of general MSP practices out there, but if you do have a niche, lean into it. And these guys certainly do. You land
Yeah,
on this site, you know exactly, even their name. I mean, there's no question. They knew who they're going for. If you are a veterinarian looking for IT support, you know you've come to the right place.
completely.
Even
Which
this,
is
I love this. I love this in the background too. Like it's kind of this could be anything. Okay, it's medical. Oh wait, there's a horse.
I hadn't even spotted that before. I like that.
And if we go down here, I mean, we see this carries on. Now here's the thing. So I guess my one thing that I would love to see, you brought this up before, So they're using stock photos, obviously. I think it does work because it's still kind of specialized enough. But if they had some actual photos of real people, I think that would be more effective too.
Yeah, that's it. They've kind of gone the stock photography way and it works. And they've chosen stock photography with people in it. I love this guy.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's great because I mean, you see that the burden, I guess, of the site is less on having like the previous example, Valiant. It's all about them showing, hey, we're experts. We have a philosophy. We're going to tell you all about that, and that's what our sites. That's the lift of the site. Is the big challenge of it is to explain to you, visitor, why we really know what we're talking about and why we have this philosophy that's going to be our big selling point. These guys are their selling point is more like, hey, you're a veterinarian, we know you, and so you should use us. We're built exactly for you.
Yes, that's it. The whole way of speaking to them is different. How we serve you, even just including you into copy.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Um, Protecting your practice. It goes down into, I mean, they're calling out veterinary clinics and hospitals. Um, they're even tailoring their service. You know, this is a security page. We see tons of security pages. We know what they can look like, but they've tailored it to their specific audience, which I think is great.
Yeah, it's speaking on their wavelength, isn't it? So it's, if you've got a niche, definitely lean into it like these guys.
The last thing I'll mention here is that I do also like, you know, we see obviously the CTAs, and as an MSP, I mean, your call to action in most cases is get in touch, right? Pick up the phone, send us an email. So you've got that button, obviously. But then I like that these guys are saying, okay, not quite ready to hop on the phone with someone. We're going to give you another option too. And they're using kind of a guide here. I would like a little bit more information about what, oh, here we go. Ask and you shall receive, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, I do think they could be a little bit better about having subscription right here at the top, so I'm not scrolling down, scrolling back up. Yeah,
But I really
yeah.
like that because I think it's very, I always see request a consultation and things like that. And
Mhm.
I mean, people do go through that call to action, but I just feel like sometimes people aren't quite ready and they don't really want to speak to someone because they feel like they're just going to be sold to as well. They just want to
Exactly.
find out a little bit more about what you can do for them. And this, I think, from what I can gather, is solving one of those pain points, which then they go, oh, these guys really know their stuff. Now I'll request a consultation. And I like the fact wellness fits in because it fits in very nicely to the,
To the theme, right?
feels like overall theme. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll see too. There's a few other people we'll get to who are offering free assessments too. But yeah, I think that's it. I mean, having that other option for people who aren't quite ready to hop on the phone with a salesperson, but are still able to get some information that way.
It's
And then you're
raising the
able
bar.
to, yeah. And then of course, then you're also getting, these guys are going to get their email address. Hopefully they've got a good nurturing stream set up with emails, good ways to stay in touch,
Yeah,
top of
definitely.
mind.
It's a great opportunity.
So let's go. This is kind of a similar Asteris, based in the UK. Um, and these guys, kind of a similar approach here, where I love that they look different, and the reason why it's not just looking different for the sake of it, right? They are looking different, and they're looking this way because of their customers, because they focus on the hospitality trade, their restaurants, pubs, clubs, music venues, and so they definitely embraced that, and they've had this whole look and feel that they've adopted to mimic that and to speak to that.
Definitely. Yeah. Because like I say, again, the audience will recognize the style and like the boldness of it. I think is great. So speak to them in the style that they're used to speaking to.
Yeah, look at this. We understand your challenges. Coming right out and saying it too. I mean, there's a lot of times being clear and straightforward through copy can be pretty effective.
I love that first line there. Your till's crashing at 9 p.m. on a Friday night. That's like the worst thing for them. They're going to lose so much money. You hit that
Right.
point right there. They're going to be like, okay, how can you make sure this never happens again?
Absolutely. I think, yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. Having the challenge, getting yourself in the mindset of the prospect, what's the biggest pain point for them, and then just coming out and saying it and describing it the way that they would describe it. I think people immediately recognize it. It'll resonate with someone like, oh my god, yeah, that is a big problem, or yeah, I am dealing with that right now. And then it's going to just connect with them a lot more.
Definitely, yeah, because it's sometimes that'll seem quite a simple like sentence, but actually that's such a big disaster. And like I say, saying it in the simple terms the way they would describe it, you kind of caught them there because they go, oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and to that point, I mean, my suggestion here would be, why not make this the headline actually, or draw it even further? You could do something with the imagery too. I mean, it could be easy to go over the top with it, but really make sure that people don't miss that, because you caught onto it too. I mean, what a great line.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Going back down to the sites here, I mean, one thing you also notice compared to some of the other things we've already looked at, a pretty simple site. And I think it goes back to what you were saying before. It's really all dependent on the audience, isn't it? I mean, for a lot of the people in the hospitality trade, maybe they don't need the in-depth, they don't need to know your philosophy, or they don't need to know a ton of technical details. They just need to know that you get them, right?
That's it. Yeah, you can solve those problems that they have day to day. They sometimes don't even need to know the ins and outs of it, how you're doing it, and kind of all the technical side. Like I say, they just want to get the end result and be kept going on a Friday night.
Yes, exactly. I do like this too. This is a nice add some personality to it too.
If you don't need
Um,
pictures, this is another way of doing it.
yeah, very good point. Very good point. Again, yeah, and that's a little bit of an investment in terms of getting a designer to do it, but if as long as your not team isn't adding too much, it doesn't have to be very very expensive, prohibitively so, and
That's
it
it.
helps you stand out for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think the other thing that strikes me, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think my other comment as a content person too is big chunks of text. I mean, the more it's so tough because I'm like this. I'm a writer. I'm a content person. I love sentences. I love writing. I want to make sure that we're getting all the points right. We're hitting every single value prop, every single point, messaging point. We want to pack it all in there, but I think you run the risk of people just skipping over this because
Yeah,
we've become so used to just, we're so lazy as readers now, thanks to the internet and mobile and everything. We want to be able to see a quick headline, maybe one line, large, clear, to the point.
yeah, because that way you're going to take it in fast and people are quickly looking, like you say. And then I've seen other sites where they have then kind of an open drop down. If you want to add more information, then it's hidden. I think this might be on one of another example later on.
Yeah.
One way of doing it, if you really need to have all that text there,
Hmm.
have a teaser sentence and then show the rest. But yeah, sometimes it's like little sentences are more impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. Harder to write too in some
Yeah.
cases. All right, let's see. Moving on to yes, dedicated IT.
Yeah.
All right, Claire, interested. What first impressions? What do you think
There's
of these guys?
people again. Is it their team or is it not their team?
Now, I think this is a use of stock. I think this is what we'll pick up with these guys is they're
Yeah,
using a lot of stock photos, but they're definitely going high quality stock photos. They're
yeah,
going to sources that are they're making it work because it's high quality. They're also pretty distinctive, and they actually the way that they're using them, um, even though it's stock, I think they're getting some good personality from it.
yeah. I was going to say they've been quite selective, and they've obviously chosen ones that all link together, got the same sort of style and look and filters, so to speak, rather than just choosing anything that might fit.
Now, one thing I will, yeah, I mean, see, definitely stock, right? And I do think that they could probably improve on this a little bit, but there are some examples where, like that's pretty good. Oh yes, I love this guy too. Actually, like that is really effective. That's going to grab my attention. It's stock, but it's also distinct enough. And this adding personality, it fits really well with, I think, what they're trying to convey here. Let's see, I want to talk about copy for these guys too, because speaking of personality, I think they're getting it across with their copy too. Their copy is definitely, it's going on the short side. It's punchy. These guys are not afraid to have a little bit of personality, which I think can be a really good thing.
Definitely, yeah, it makes you stand out for one,
Mm-hmm.
instantly, and people get more engaged by that because, like you say, all the copy and the imagery are adding that personality in different ways, so they work together nicely. There we go.
Now here's a question for you. So a different take, right, on the kind of the slider. So this is an example where um, a ton of information they have on one page. They're making it a little bit more digestible by letting you kind of pick and choose and go through it like this. That's a pretty good approach, right?
I like that. Rather than having a full page of all of this, and there'll be certain areas that people are more interested in than others. So it gets them to choose what they're interested in without having to consume everything at once and be overwhelmed by, you do all this. So it's nice.
Yeah. At the same time, I do think that there's a little bit uh these guys there's a little concern I have about it being a little bit too much. I wonder if they could simplify a little bit here, because they have a ton of pages. They got pages for every industry. They got pages for every service. Also, one thing I wanted to ask you about is, like, I get the feeling that there's a cool they were maybe building this themselves. They had some cool templates and they wanted to use everything.
Yeah,
Because
that's
like
a,
this,
yeah.
it's kind of cool, but like, is it really that effective? And also, he's pointing up, which makes me want to go back up instead of going back down.
Little
Just
things
little
like
things like
that.
that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. And I think that if you are using templated things, it is so easy to want to use everything, and you've got to remember what your site's for, what the purpose of it is. Because yeah, these have got a lot of pages.
Yeah, I mean, and they're actually, I mean, they're great. I'm sure that they, for SEO, it can be really powerful. Having a lot of pages that can soak up some search traffic. Um, and as long as, and if they're doing specific campaigns where maybe they're directing people in healthcare just to this page, so that's a different experience for someone, rather than coming to the homepage and then trying to navigate your way around.
Yeah, that's true.
But overall, yeah, I mean, I think they're doing a lot of cool things here. I think you get a good sense of personality. There's one more page I wanted to look at. Oh yeah, why us? Um, this is kind of cool too. I mean, they definitely are getting across, like, we're going to be very just we're going to say it like it is, which I think is people can respond to. And then look at this, we're getting some gifts here. This may be a little bit much for some people, but it helps them stand out, and this may actually really resonate with a lot of people.
Well, that's it. I say with the right people that they want to be working with, that want someone with a bit of personality.
Yeah, and the other thing, I guess, that goes along with it, they are right up front with who they are, what they care about. They do a good job of explaining not just what they do, but why they're doing it. Um, and it's clear they're really aiming on, like, hey, this is who we are. We want to find a good partner. Um, and I think that can be really effective for them.
Definitely. The only one thing I'd say
Mm.
is it doesn't say dedicated IT on the homepage. So that'd be one thing I would
Let's go
say.
back
So if you
here.
recognize it. Um, it says it.
We've got our logo here, but it's just the icon version. We've got it in a couple of little smaller places there, but you're right.
But maybe that kind of adds more to they're talking about you and not talking about them. There's different ways you could slant that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
just a
yeah.
little. I like the little Batman.
I know. That's like, it's a great case of just something that's a small little touch that adds a lot. It's considering not just the overall, the bigger places. It's what are these little tiny places that you can add a little bit of flair to, a little bit of something that's unique, that's going to give your site and your brand personality.
Yeah,
I think it's
definitely.
nice. All right, let's move on. So let's see what else. Moving halfway through the list,
Yes.
Medicus IT coming in at number 4. Okay, so these guys, I wish that I think what we'll do is we'll include a screenshot in the recording of what these guys did in October because it was really cool. So Medicus IT, from the name, you kind of get a feel for it. You just saw the notice about HIPAA there. They're clearly going for healthcare, right?
Yes.
Um, and uh, in October was breast cancer awareness month. They actually kind of gave their whole homepage a new theme, where it was instead of the orange colors here, they redid their logo. They made it pink. They had the ribbon. They had a special message. Everything was kind of that pink theme. Um, and what I think is cool about that is it goes back to what we said about dedicated IT as well. Um, it gives your company an identity, and sets you apart when you're upfront with, this is who we are. We're people, first of all, but also we're people who care about things. We've got a mission, we've got values, and they clearly, by doing the breast cancer awareness kind of theme, they're aligning with what their prospects care about too. Like, you're in the medical profession. This is obviously going to be top of mind for you. It's top of mind for us too.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I like that touch because it does. It shows you care. You're in kind of online with what they'll be caring about, what they're talking about. And again, it's that extra thoughtful touch because they've put the effort in to think about something like that. So I like that.
Yeah, I also like this scrolling, this messaging with very, to your point, very short copy, right? Just very, uh, uh, make sure you're compliant. That's a compelling CTA for me. And then
Yes.
here we go to the next one. Our clients love us. Why? Again, like, very simple statement, strong statement, and very clear CTA.
One
I
that
like what
ties
they're
with it. It's not just a generic contact us. No, it's,
right.
yeah, I like
Absolutely right. And then, of course, I have seen several people doing this. I think it's a smart idea. Uh, 27 days, everybody. It's getting down to it.
how dare.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do kind of after this. But uh,
Yeah,
clearly, they've identified that this is a big point for in healthcare that people are concerned about, and they're putting it right up front to add that urgency. That's pretty nice.
yeah. Again, understand their audience and everything. So
Good social proof. Aha, more content, which I like too. So again, going back to that point of not quite ready to give a call, uh, we've got some different options for you here. We got the ebook that you could check out. We have an assessment, the free assessment that we can give. I know that those are not always the best fit for you as an MSP. It kind of depends on your business and what you're prioritizing. But in this case, it's just another way that they're getting the foot in the door. They're giving people an option, even if they're not quite ready to, again, have a sales conversation. It kind of inches their way into it with this.
that's it. Yeah. No, I like that, and I think I like the way that they'd put a little description as well alongside their free ebook too, because it kind
Oh
of
yeah, let's
says
go back to
why you're
that.
downloading it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's talking about you, your data. Is it as safe as you think? Because that's, again, it hits those kind of nervous pain points. Going, oh, is it actually? People are intrigued then to go and download.
Yeah, that powerful, using that second person, using your speaking directly to people. I think it's important.
Definitely.
All right, the one thing I guess I giving let's see here. Let's check out their blog really quickly. Um, kind of a lot of stock photos here. Uh, I think you get a little bit more leeway with when you're talking about doing a blog. But still, I think it's important to try to use high quality photos, not generic stuff whenever you can.
Yeah,
Um,
there's another
yeah.
great opportunity to get your personality across in your featured images on your blog posts. I feel like sometimes that's missed a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah, here's they've actually they're taken yeah, they've taken Datos, Save the Channel Owner Support. They've done kind of a graphic for it and a video. So they're using other people's content too, which is kind of nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that there's some more love that they could give to their services pages. Um, Not a
Yeah,
lot going on here. I don't know.
Yeah, they've got all of everything homepage, and then once you go through, is it just that kind of feel go through the whole user's journey?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's kind of that you're they do set such a strong early note with their homepage, and then their services. It's kind of a little bit of a secondary concern. Maybe they could get those a little bit more love. All right, let's move on. Let's see. Accent. Yes. Okay. What do you think, Claire? What are your first impressions here?
My first impression was the yellow. You don't often see it.
No, you don't.
So it stands out.
Is that a good thing though?
It's, I'm not 100% sure. That's fine, isn't it? But at least it ties into the logo. It's just everything's, I think
Yeah.
the impression was I felt the logo and then it doesn't follow through to the rest of the page as such. There's a bit of yellow. Feel like if you're going to do yellow. Throw it
Right.
everywhere.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I think that honestly so this is a great site in terms of copy, in terms of their content, in terms of their a lot of things that they're doing, their approach there. The one thing though is that I think the branding and the low quality photo back here, I think it's selling it short, which I hate to see because they're doing so many good things right, um, and yet it just needs a makeover. They're like they need to let other people see themselves like I see them. I want them. They need a makeover. They need a glow up.
No, you're right
Um,
there. Yeah, it just
yeah.
takes the next. I mean, they've got their people. It's a
Mhm.
start. They've tried to get a picture of their team, but then
Yeah.
it looks like half of them are missing.
It goes back to yeah, you're right, and it goes back to I think at the top we were talking about the importance of if you're going to do it, the trick is you should invest in getting the high, getting a photographer to come in, getting a videographer, whatever you want to do, but just make sure it's high quality because it can be a one-time thing and it can really pay off and make a big difference. But let's stop beating up on them. We can go to the good stuff too. I do like their copy a lot, and I do love they've got these fast, friendly, frustration free. That sounds great. It's very clear what they do. Business IT consulting. It's clear who they do it for.
Yeah.
Southern California businesses with 40 to 500 employees. Super clear. Super clear. And then check out this. I love this section actually.
Yeah, I really like this bit.
And
It's
so it's
written
basically yeah.
that their customers would be talking. They've not tried to
Exactly.
change it in the way they speak. They've thought about what their audiences are going to be saying and how they say it. So yeah, straight away
Absolutely.
they're targeting them and resonating with them.
Yeah, you know, I think I would love to see more MSPs doing this type of thing where it's listing the challenges or the pain points right up front. I would like them to take it one step forward further and say, I don't know if we're secure. Where's my link to go to? Like, here's how you find out, or here's how we can help you do that. And so the
Yes,
simple thing, and they've got the overall get started here, but I would like each one of these things, maybe even make this the main focus. Try that out, you know, and then get to your pages that way. It could be interesting to try.
definitely. It'd be interesting to see actually if you tracked what most people's challenges were even further.
Oh, totally. That would give you great information. If you make those the links, and then you're able to go back in after a month or whatever, after you've gotten some decent traffic, look by and see what are the most popular ones. Go back in, make those the high level ones.
Yeah,
If you got a few that no one's clicking on, get rid of them. That's a
definitely.
great idea. And so here again, we got a video, which is nice. Although the quality maybe could get a little bit of help. I do like this too. I think this is a great concept that again could be executed a little bit better. They're taking into account that a visitor to a site, they could be getting lots of visitors who are different types of people and different types of roles. And so they're doing some cool thing with personas here. They're like saying, okay, for business owners and executives, here's what you're concerned about, and here's what we're going to deliver for you. Same thing for the office managers. Same thing for the CIOs or IT managers. each of those things is going to be what they care about is going to be different. So I like that they're doing this.
Yeah.
I just think it could be a little bit more cohesive. Like I just went from there to here and I'm not quite sure why. I kind of lost my thread here.
Yeah, because if that was about the office managers,
Right.
kind of again follow through to that section before of those pain points for those people. It's a great opportunity for them to really target and focus on those people, because they'll read that and go, oh, actually, yeah, I do think that and I do feel that. So you know what you're talking about.
And it could be combined, actually. This approach combined with the challenges, because you know you don't want to try to be doing too many different things, especially on your homepage. I think the whole point of a homepage is to prove people, hey, you're in the right place. Take the next step. And so you don't want to get too bogged down in trying too many different things, but maybe they can combine these two approaches a little bit. The other
Definitely
thing, oh,
customer.
I love this. We haven't seen this at all, which I'm kind of surprised about. What do you think about this section?
Yeah, so I've seen this a lot in design agency websites,
Yeah.
kind of design freelancer websites, but I've not seen it in MSP websites that often. So it's quite refreshing to see it. To see
And
it
numbers
used.
talk, right? Numbers absolutely talk. It's great to see that because everyone can say the same messaging, right? Everyone can say that we're frictionless or we're fast, we're reliable. Everyone can use those words. But this is putting the stats behind it. And those I think speak pretty loudly. I would recommend them actually move this way up.
Yeah, because if people are looking as well for someone who can answer their queries fast and answer sort of their problems fast, then straight there you go. Okay, yeah, you can do that job.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And let's see, I wanted to go into one more thing here. So, going back to content, because content's it's what I think about all the time. I do like that they're offering a book here. Subscribe is a little bit of a disconnect for me. I'm like, okay, but I'm subscribing. Well, what am I subscribing to? I thought I was downloading something. So that's just a nitpicky thing.
Yeah,
Um,
it's quite an
yeah,
important one though, because it's the small detail. So people will go, oh, I want their download, and they'll probably know, or they will know that they're signing up to kind of be contacted, but they're not clicking on that to just subscribe. So yeah, it's that disconnect. I think just those little details, it would stop people from downloading, I think,
yeah,
sometimes.
it gave me pause for sure. And then in general, I mean, I think you've kind of referred to some CTAs as we've been going through things in terms of what you see all the time. And Get Started certainly is one. Um, Pretty effective, but also kind of general. Are there any other things like tips for CTAs that you have, or things that you've seen that people are doing that's kind of cool?
Oh, I'm trying to think if there's any. Like I say, I've tried to um, move away from the free consultations and
Mhm.
stuff, because
Yeah.
I feel like it puts, especially right at the top of a page, because
Mm.
it'll people haven't even found out about yourself first, so they're not going to. If there's a call to action that can help you follow down the page and flow your journey and talk to the person, they're more likely to go on and head and click on it. I find anyway. Um,
Yeah, it's kind of like being too eager, asking for the date right away, asking for like a yeah.
that's
Um,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I do think there's the education center here. So they definitely have dedicated marketing person. You can tell because they have a ton of content, which is awesome. I bet they're getting some good web traffic through these posts.
Yeah.
And then what I think is cool, they sprinkle in that CTA for their lead magnet, right? Like they're gonna get email addresses and build out their contact list that way. And then if you go into their specific posts, they actually look at this. We get some pop-ups. Yeah, and these will be different depending on what the post topic is on. So it's cool. They've got everything is kind of guiding you to a good next step. So they want to convert that blog traffic into download something, get on the email list so we can reach out and contact you.
I like those little content upgrades, especially if
Mhm.
they're linked and relevant to the blog post.
Right.
is connected to as well, because it just adds that extra thought. People have read about the top 10 tips and now they want to find out more. So if you can add that content upgrade that is relevant to that blog post, it's even better, and it adds that extra value to the people that are reading.
Absolutely. Another approach to this too is so having blog posts where people are coming in that way, then they're converting. I love the term you use, content upgrade. They also have gone to the trouble of putting together longer, what I call pillar pages. So this is executive guide to cybersecurity is bigger than a blog post. It's more in depth, but right at the beginning, they are still trying to convert you by saying, "Hey, you don't have time to read this right now? Why don't you download the guide?"
Yeah, I like that.
So yeah, why you get kind of the best of both worlds. This is the approach I like to take too. A lot of times creating an ebook can be a ton of work, and you've got it behind. If you only have it behind a form, you're not getting the full value of it. You're not putting it on a page where search engines can crawl it, and you're not getting indexed that way. Um, Having it only behind a form can help draw people in, but can also kind of limit what you're doing. So I actually like this approach of we're going to have all of our content here. We're going to get all the good SEO juice from it, but we're also going to convert people from it too.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I think as well,
See, yeah.
see, not trying to get you.
And these things too, I think this is actually a good point to bring up pop-ups, because they can be handled well and they can be super annoying. I actually don't mind this because yeah, this is relevant to the page I was on.
Yes.
I just got one of them. It's pretty small. It's not a big deal. I've definitely seen other pages where you're on the page for 1 second, all of a sudden you've got a huge pop-up in your face, and it's very distracting.
Can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Just
All
a quick
right.
one on ebooks.
Yeah.
You say it can be quite difficult to put them together. I've been working with people to help them write a series of blog posts that are all related to one topic, which you can then collate into an ebook. So if you have it as part of the strategy, then you can make it easier for yourself if you think of it like that.
Such a good approach. It's such a good approach to do it. And it becomes much more manageable. I mean, if you're talking about a 500-word blog post versus the thought of putting together an entire ebook, it can be kind of hard to motivate to get started.
So kind of it helps you get that kind of first foot to start to get that ebook rather than thinking, oh, I'll do it someday. So just a little tip.
Absolutely. Oh, it's a great tip. And then you can do exactly what these guys are doing too. You can have those blog posts point to the downloads, so you're getting kind of more bang for your buck that way. That's a really good tip. All right, we're getting down to our top websites of the year. So it's exciting. So here we go. Let's look. Number 2. I'm going to have to translate this page because it's in French. I believe these guys are based in Montreal or Quebec. Exosource. So kind of markedly different in quite a few immediate ways, right? First of all, we got the illustration, which right off the bat, I'll say, like, not going to be for everyone, right? Like, depending on your audience, this may be too playful. It may just not fit with you. You got to do what's true for you and your company, and your own personality. Your site really needs to reflect that. If this isn't your style, going an illustration route, it's not going to be the right thing to do, and it shouldn't be something that you try to force. That said, these guys I think are doing it really effectively.
Yeah, no, you're right there. I think it's think about what your customer is, your audience is, and what your like brand avatar, I suppose we can call it, is, and how all that fits together. And this can be really effective if it's something that talks to your audience.
Absolutely. The one thing I will say too, so going back, I love that this is all one page. Now there's going to be some downsides, maybe SEO. You're not going to have the more pages you have, the more opportunities you have for people to find them and to get search traffic. These guys are kind of putting all their eggs in one basket with their one page here. That said, as a visitor, super easy to navigate, and it kind of walks me through a cool story. So I'm like, okay, so what are these guys? Okay, they have a method for what they're doing. That's cool. Advantages. it's just like it's they're anticipating my next question and they're delivering it. And what I really like about it is going back to our previous points, they're using very, very, very little copy, and they're just focused on it being impactful.
Yes. Yeah. And just that green and white on that black,
Right.
impactful too.
It stands out. It just goes to show. I mean, they don't have huge blocks of text. You're going to read this because it stands out. Because absolutely great use of color and background. Um, very clear copy. And again, I mean, they're just focused, and this probably does play into, if they were providing for healthcare or legal or finance, maybe they would have to have more detailed information here. Um, but maybe they're targeting smaller, medium-sized businesses that just want to know, hey, what do these guys do? What's their whole deal? I'm getting a good feel for them. They're super clear. They seem like they'd be easy to work with. You start getting like all these kind of like connotations and all these like you get a feel for who they could be based on this website.
Yeah, straight away. And that's the whole kind of the point of the website. People will come to your website and find out more about you before they even pick up the phone. So if you can get that impression across at this stage, then it helps you further down the line.
Absolutely. The one pet peeve I have with this is I'm using the arrows now and it's easy. If I'm trying to scroll up and down, I'm kind of skipping a couple page, like it skips every now and then. They need to work out some kinks there a little bit.
Yeah, you definitely have to go through it in a particular order.
Yeah, yeah. And then here's something you don't see very often, which is the pricing calculator. And again, I mean, not going to be for everybody. There's very legitimate reasons not to do this, but again, you get the feeling that these guys are all about emphasizing, hey, we're for smaller clients who just want to have like we're going to be super easy to work with. We're going to make everything really upfront. Here's who we are. Here's what we do. Here's how much it costs. It's all about the ease of use thing.
Definitely. They know exactly what they're using the website for as well.
Yeah, but this is pretty cool. And then yeah, let's like so we gave you the info. Here's the next step. It's pretty clear, straightforward. I really like this a lot. Even for the people, the vendors who are doing more complex things and having more complex sales with uh, more advanced clients. I think there's something to be learned from this. And that, especially with the copy, just less can be a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Curious about your thoughts about kind of this one page approach and the sliders and everything in general.
Yeah, so I don't mind one page websites. Obviously, there's benefits for having multiple pages. I think because of what they're putting into this one page, it works quite well because it's not one page full of stuff. I've seen one page websites where it's jam packed and it's a
Right.
bit like, whoa, hold on. And you want to be able to jump to a different page to get some breathing room. Like I say, I think you've got to go through the site in a particular order in order to follow the story a little
Right.
bit. And the sliders, I like the way that they've got them kind of the 1, the 2, the 3. But I feel like you could get lost halfway through, maybe, depending on what you were looking for.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is more kind of directed than whereas some other sites are built for here's all the options, you pick what you want, and it's kind of letting the visitor self-select and guide their own journey. These guys are very much like we have one path for you. Here's what it is, and that's going to work for some people and maybe not for others.
Yeah, that's it. I think it depends on again that audience. They obviously know exactly what they're doing, what they want to get from this website, who they want to target. So
One last pet peeve. Look at this. Look at this logo. Like they've gone to all the trouble of making everything look so good, and their logo is like low res.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
I actually thought that was just my screen before, but it's not. It's little things like that again in the detail that go into the effort of pulling together all these bespoke illustrations, but then you've got your logo low res. So make sure all the bits add up to the bigger.
And it gets it gets neglected all the time. I actually noticed this in quite a few sites, and And I think it's just one of those things you kind of forget about, right? Like you're like, okay, we launched, we have our logo, check. We're never gonna do anything with it again. We're done.
Yeah.
And then you end up with an outdated logo. You end up with it like losing. It just gets kind of like degraded over time. It gets bounced around. But it's such an important part, and I think it's easy to neglect.
It is, yeah, definitely. I like the way they've brought the green through, so the colour
Mm-hmm.
palette's all on brand and consistent, but I'd like to have seen some of the kind of the logo elements in the rest of the site. Maybe there's scope there to bring some sort of elements from that through to the rest of the
That's
site.
interesting too.
Just
Yeah,
to add that kind of extra level of branding through. If you've gone to the effort of getting logo designed, then you can kind of tie that in with the rest of your branding as well, quite simply
absolutely.
sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. But it just gives that whole sense of cohesion and it kind of helps you set yourself apart. You just know that you're in the next level. And speaking of, I think so. This is our number one website, number one MSP website of 2019. This is Nucleus. They're an MSP based out of Canada. Um, I love this site. And I know, like, I do wonder, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of MSPs that look at this and they hate it. I love it. And I think that it's important to remember when you're looking at when you're working on your own website, you're not making this for you and what you think is cool. You're making it for your clients. And these guys, I think, nail it in a lot of ways. They are completely distinct. I don't see any other MSP websites looking like this. And again, I mean, obviously, it's based on who your clients, who your target is. Maybe this wouldn't work for everybody, but this is totally like it's making. Whereas before we saw a lot of the companies focus on here's who we are, here's our own philosophy, here's all the stuff about us. These guys are doing a great job of putting the client as a hero, quite literally.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. It's kind of takes you aback a little bit when you first see it because you go, well, this is different. So it makes you want to look further.
The other thing that I love about it is it kind of walks you through going back to what we were talking about Exosource is the story this tells. And so they're using their website is very clearly okay. Maybe the majority of the customers they're getting are from other MSPs, and so their whole message is around this get more, get better. They're going to convince people that they can do it better than what they have right now, which is whether they have better in terms of maybe the provider they have isn't as good, or not having a provider. Here's why going with one could be a better thing.
Yeah,
And they walk them through the story, and they just kind of repeat it in very strong, very clear, simple terms. Do IT better? Why? Because we actually care, but also I mean, it just kind of goes through like the journalistic thing of like we're going to hit you with a high level point, and then we're going to support that down the line. It's time to expect better. Okay, how or why is that important? It gives you some value points here. Partner who's in sync, better execution, better communication, and then I love this. This kind of goes back to what we were saying on one of the previous sites.
yeah.
Uh, they just draw the comparison. Here's why we're different.
And that's a lot of the time what people are looking for. They're going, well, hang on a second, why should I go with you over you? What is it that makes you different? And they're drawing it out straight away.
And this kind of goes to some of those pain points too. So if anyone is frustrated, they're on the search because they're frustrated with their with inconsistent communication with their current provider. They're going to see this and be like, "Yep, I get it. Okay, these guys are saying that they offer support." They take this actually a step further. If we go to about here, um, they're going with this supercharged term. They're basically just explaining why they says why their services are set apart. And a lot of people just focus on listing out their services. They've taken the approach of here's what you get from a standard MSP. I mean, okay, like what is a standard MSP? You could kind of argue that, but I think for a lot of visitors, they're going to see this and be like, okay, I'm the trick of this the trick of this chart is to show you that you're going to be getting more, and I think it works for it in that way.
Yeah, even just the point with all the ticks are all hand drawn, just all those little details. I love.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's just like carrying that kind of branding all the way through. And these guys did use a branding agency, and they've got a video on it that it's kind of cool where they walk through.
You can
Um,
see that
talk
they've
through.
invested in
Yeah,
their branding, but it makes a difference.
it absolutely does make a difference, and um, it's obviously not going to be in the budget for everybody. It's not going to be everyone's main focus, and I don't think you need to necessarily go with a branding agency per se. I mean, certainly, I think it's good to get help, and to get some advice and consultation. But I think even just there's a lot of some of the stuff takeaways that you can go to work with on your own. You don't necessarily have to pay a big agency fee.
Yeah, no, and that's important to say as well. And that's what people put off, or they do it really early on and go, right, I need a full brand, and it's like, do you? Well, let's think about this. So yeah, no, it's an
But
important point.
It's cool. I mean, it's just there's a level of thoughtfulness to this where I think obviously going through the agency, and maybe they did this beforehand too. It required them to kind of step back and put a lot of thought into what do our prospects really care about. How can we convey that? What's the story that we're trying to tell? And I think it comes through in the site in a way that really sets it apart from others. Here's a little thing that you were mentioning before.
Uh,
Another great way to reduce those giant blocks of text. Start with what's important, and then give them an option to read some more.
it just helps break it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's even not. I mean, it's not a ton. It just helps to exactly give a little bit more. Here's one pet peeve of mine, or one thing I think they can do a little bit better. So even this, I think it's very simplified. They're emphasizing, hey, we're simple, we're straightforward, we know what we're doing, but we're easy to use. We're accessible,
Yeah,
we're relatable, we have a lot of personality. Um, so you have about, services, results, very simple. But when you go to results, I would like to see some results. And what I find are case studies. And I get that there's results inside there, but why not pull out a few high level things, a high level wins or some stats or something?
I was going to say, just those numbers again
Mm-hmm.
would be an instant kind of connection, and then people can go in and read more. But yeah, no, that would be a nice addition, I think. Definitely.
But yeah,
I
there
love,
we have it. So yeah.
I love that they keep their better and supercharged all the way through their copy as well on their homepage.
Mm-hmm.
It's keeping that message consistent all the way through their website.
That's it. I mean, they've really put a lot of thought into. We're going to tell a specific story. We're going to guide visitors through it, and we're going to be consistent throughout. I think it's a great use of. That's what a website's exactly what a website is for. It's getting people to see who you are, what's your story, um, and I think they really deliver on it really well.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's it. This is our list of the 10 best MSP websites of 2019. Hopefully you found this interesting, and hopefully we covered. I think we covered a lot of good tips. Claire, you had a lot of really good insights and tidbits that you were sharing. Hopefully people are getting inspired by seeing this and getting some good ideas. Claire, now, where can people go to find out more about you and see some of the cool work that you're doing with MSPs on their websites and brands?
So they can head to my website in a minute, which is clairejenks.co.uk, or feel free to reach out to me on Twitter.
Perfect. All right. Thank you again, Claire, for joining us. This was a lot of fun. Looking forward to keeping track of all the cool marketing that MSPs are doing. We're thinking about doing a follow-up series where we dive into not just websites, but marketing materials, things like email campaigns, sales outreach, all sorts of stuff where we look at real examples that MSPs are using and we break down what's working, what people can do even better. So thanks again for joining us. Keep an eye out for more. Claire, thanks again.
No, thank you very much for having me on. It's been a lot of fun.